There we go, we're live.
Welcome to the official catch-up live edition number 3. I'm joined, as always, by what we describe as the trio of greatness in the Lowland League. That's what we're going to call it. That's the new title.
It's very grand.
The trio of greatness is, of course, Mozza and Chris. Mozza, how are you doing?
I'm not bad, mate. How's you?
Can't complain. There's still fuck all we do, but we're getting by. We're working like a dog, but apart from that and walking, I mean, I'm pretty happy. Still no fit, but I mean that's the be all and end all. But we move on, and we get by, and we'll roll on the new season. That's what I'm saying.
3 months till the new season starts.
Not long at all, and we're joined by the only hat wearer this week is Chris. Chris, how you doing?
Unlike you guys, I've not had my haircut yet, so maybe next time. I'm hoping, so. I'm looking forward to that. That's what I'm looking forward to. You guys are obviously saying about the football and that, but haircut for me as well. I want to feel that what you guys have got at the moment.
Not gonna lie, it was pretty glorious feeling getting it done.
It was, man. I go to a barber's in Glasgow, Safe Hands Barbers. Shout out again for them.
How much you paid you this week?
2 weeks in a row. But I was thinking about going to the barber's, right? And it's probably one of the most sociable things I've done in about a year. Because you went and you sat down and you had a chat with your barber, just talking about all sorts of stuff that's going on in the world and getting your hair cut, and you come out feeling pure good after your fresh haircut and stuff. And it was like, I'm not a sociable person, as you guys know, but it felt like one of the most sociable things I've done in a long time. So I fair enjoyed the barber session, I must admit. But just a shout out to our sponsors, the Soccer Shop Direct. Check them out on Twitter at the Soccer Shop D, or check out their website is the soccershopdirect.com for all your teamwear and football equipment needs. Where are we going to start, boys? Let's wonder where we start. There's plenty to talk about, I'm sure.
There's to talk about, don't we?
Let's start with the first bit of news was that the Lowland League and the Highland League nominated representatives for the playoffs, and Brora and Kelty were nominated for the playoff match, which will see the winner of that take on Club 42, which, let's just be honest, I'll just call them Brecon, but from now on, that's the team we want to be there in 42. So I'll nail my colours to the match straight away. So bring your heat to me if you're a Brecon fan. I know we had a few Brecon fans in the Twitter comments during the week, Chris.
Yeah, us Lowland types obviously always feeling hard done by. I get obviously the playoffs were cancelled last season, but I think people are forgetting that the playoffs were cancelled and it wasn't for the bottom teams. Like Brecon were bottom in the league, where as Hearts and Partick and whoever else went down, Brecon were saved, and I think that's where the difference is. Fair enough, it's no a automatic relegation, if you will, but I don't know. I think people are. I don't know if we're maybe just moaning too much or whatever, but I can kind of see their point. Right, fair enough, it's an automatic relegation, but our point of view is it should be. I think anyone when you come into football from a young age, you obviously expect the top team to be the champions and the bottom team to get relegated. That's how it's always been throughout different leagues, and it's just not it's not what it's like in the SPFL. Obviously, Brecon been saved once, perhaps twice as well. And I think a lot of people who bring up Vale leaving, obviously, fair enough, they never got relegated last season, but we still had a promoted team in Bo'ness United from the east of Scotland, and and there was just no chance that Kelty and Brora had last season. So I think that's where it sort of differs for me. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, I mean, imagine a non-league podcast coming out in support of the Lowland League. Imagine that. Like, mad. No, genuinely,
types, eh?
I do get the argument from, let's just say, League 2, League 1 fans that it's a playoff spot, it's not an automatic spot, so last year's fair enough. I get that, because there was no way they could play the games anyway. At the time, we obviously were heavily in support of the Highland and Lowland getting their shot. It didn't happen, which is why it's more important, in my view, that it does happen this summer when games can be played. And the other thing that kind of rankled me a little bit was the SPFL statement that I think there's some good bits in it. I don't think it's the total doom and gloom that some people think it is, but they had no reason to refer to just 3 games played by Brora or only 13 games played by Kelty. There was no reason to point that out because that's not part of the rules to qualify. The only thing in the rules, but I've shared the letter and I think the catch up retweeted it as well, but basically it's all ground requirements, off-field requirements, accountancy, all that kind of thing. It's basically tied in club licensing. So the SPFL cannot, there is not a rule that says they can go, they've only played 3 games, they're not qualifying. That's just not in the rules, full stop. So good luck trying to go down that route. All it says is the Highland and the Lowland need to have a champion club nominated and consensus. And, well, there was clearly, they asked for views and that's why they did it. So I think it's full steam ahead as far as I can tell. I don't see a way that this playoff isn't, like, it's going to happen. If it doesn't, I feel like there's going to be enough of a backlash against them if they try to stop it, because it's not just the likes of ourselves, the kind of alternative media guys that are talking about it. The Daily Record picked up on it. You had Radio Scotland picked up on it on Sports Sound and having a go. So mainstream media have taken note as well, which says a lot. I think the pressure will be enough, to be honest.
I love your optimism, Mozza. I absolutely admire it because I think personally this is going to turn into an absolute shit show and Brechin will be protected by... There was enough in that statement for me that suggested there was a lot being alluded to about trying to save that that playoff from actually taking place. I think the fact that you'll be seeing Ken Ferguson, the Brechin chairman, resign from the SPFL board, I think that for me says a lot about what's about to happen. And I know you're saying that it's all about the licensing, it's all about kind of the current rules, but I just feel like there's something happening in the background that's going to be that we're going to find out. I think these teams are all about self-preservation, and I mean, absolutely, I accept that as a thing. Like, look after yourself and then everyone else second. But I just think for me that there's something coming here, and we're going to find out that playoff doesn't take place.
Well, do you know what? If it's going to go that way, bring it on. Because there's going to be 101 voices against them, and it's going to be utter chaos.
I'm here for the fallout, man. I'm absolutely here for the fallout. But I just feel like there's enough there in this statement. I know what you're saying, as I say, about the licensing and that's what you make sure. But I just feel there was comments about the fact that the teams had only played a certain amount of games and stuff like that, and there's a bit of debate about whether or not the League Two will actually be able to play enough games and stuff, and you just wonder. I think for me the telling thing was the resignation during the week there from the Brechin chairman. That doesn't happen. Why would you do that? I don't see. I know in the statement he said something about he's got to look at Brechin and make sure what Brechin are doing, but I'm sorry, but you're not doing that for no reason, because let's face it. If that guy's on the board at the SPFL and they make a decision that says the playoff doesn't happen and Brechin happen to be Club 42, that's not going to be a great look for Ken Ferguson, the Brechin board. But I just feel like there's something coming.
I mean, he should have done it last year if that was the case. That's
Exactly.
Unless he's maybe learnt the lessons for last year, because Brechin as a club have been damaged by this over the last 12 months.
Totally.
Their reputation used to be quite good. I think, to be honest, there's quite a bit of ill will against him at the minute for quite a lot of clubs, so maybe he's just trying to head it off that way as well, but it wasn't the clearest statement, which didn't help. It raised a lot of questions rather than answers. And the fact they're waiting to the 19th to make a final deliberation on this when there's a playoff game 4 days later, I mean, come on.
5 days later.
Like just get it sorted. It's not as if anything else is happening right now. All we can do is watch football on a live stream. Like, get heads together on a Zoom call, thrash it out. If there's any issues, get them sorted. Job done. But
that was the issue though, because there's people reading different things into it, and if you've got a statement that some people are saying one thing and other people are saying another thing, then it's obviously not being clear. But I agree. I actually think there is some worrying sort of language in it. I would say. The thing what you mentioned, obviously, about Ken Ferguson, if there was a conflict of interest, why didn't he resign last season? And now that worries me in a sense, because he's saying, obviously, I want to focus on Brecon now, blah, blah, blah. I mean, what is he going to do? Start up front next week or whatever for them now? I mean, what really realistically can he do other than what he's already doing as a chairman? I think it's to avoid backlash of, I think what you were alluding to, Ben, that there's probably going to be a decision made where they're going to get cancelled again. I find it very laughable, though, because, like, Kelty just got back to training or got the go-ahead on the Thursday, and then this came out on the Friday. It's like, What is the actual point? Like, it makes you laugh so much about, all right, okay, we'll get you back to training, and then basically, oh, well, now we don't know if the playoffs are going ahead, or certainly, I think the dates are still the 24th and the 1st, but given that the fact that they're going to decide this on the 19th, I don't know. It's again, it's what's the point in training for Kelty and Brewer if it's not going to go ahead? Where's the motivation? Or we may or may not be playing a playoff game.
They'll play the games because if anything, even if they try to cancel the final playoff,
at least they've said they've
Kelty
played.
And Brewer will play their games and put the pressure on that way. Because, like, for anyone that doesn't know, basically the way the championship playoff happens, which is the SPFL playoff, the final one after the Highland Lowland one, each of the Highland, the Lowland, the SFA and the SPFL hold a 25% stake in it, which means that for any decision or change to be made, two parties need to agree at minimum. The SPFL need to have the SFA's backing to cancel, essentially. And the fact the SFA have given permission for the playoff beforehand, it's an interesting situation, put it that way.
It's so
I don't know
weird.
if they'd have a leg to stand on to change their mind on it, because
it's so
if that
weird,
playoff can happen, why can't the next one happen? And why would they give their approval for the prior playoff if the next one wasn't going to happen? So it's a very, very interesting situation, put it that way.
It's laughable. It really is. Like, who makes these decisions? Like, if you're if you have been in managing positions, even in business or, employment wise, like, if you were managing this thing and then you were doing basically steps A, B, C, we'll skip out D, we'll go back to B. It's like people will be looking at you like, what are you doing? What are you actually doing? And that's what the SFA and whoever the SPFL seem to keep doing, like, every year. And it's like,
I mean, that's Scottish football, mate.
I know, it's just I actually was laughing. Like, see, when I saw that statement, obviously we were saying it's another potential. I said potential, by the way, which no one seemed to pick up on, but yeah, another potential embarrassment. But it's like you've got to question what these people are thinking, eh? Like, I don't know. I don't know if it's a case of just they're waiting and seeing, and then it just gets nowhere, and they've been unlucky. But you've got to really question the decision making from whoever's making these decisions, because it doesn't make any sense.
I think we aren't surprised about decision making in the SPFL. I mean, let's be honest, it's been a bit of a mess for the last 18 months, probably even longer in terms of like last season. I think there's been a lot of discussion about whether or not Kelty and Brewer actually deserve their shot at the playoff. And I think for me, like, they've been the best teams over the last season and a half, because I guess we didn't play a full season and we kind of played 3/4 of a season last year, so it was pretty much a season and a half. They've been the best team, they deserve their shot. We've got to protect the playoff in terms of getting that played at some point, because let's face it, the other option is probably going to be reconstruction. I don't think that looks like it's going to happen now. It seems to have kind of died a death in terms of discussion. I don't know if there's anything new to come out of that, but I certainly haven't seen anything that really kind of thinks that's going to be an option.
There's still whispers, but it's very much less likely, I would say, than where it was, because they definitely floated it to get a wee bit of idea of what the backlash would be, and it wasn't good. So, yeah, I don't see anything happening this summer, to be honest.
Yeah, but I think in terms of if we have to protect the playoff or relegation from the club 42 down, then that's the way to do it. That's the only way for me that you can do it. And if it means in the likes of Brora and Kelty and whoever else get their chance at promotion. I know what East Kilbride, based on what the PPG were technically saying, so they would probably be the team to go up. And I know that upset a lot of people at Bonnyrigg and things like that about the fact that they couldn't get, they wouldn't get in that play up that kind of reconstruction spot. But certainly, if we're going to do a protection of Brecon, if that's what the end goal is, then I think we have to go down the route of the reconstruction. I think the reconstruction obviously means then Colts teams, but I know we're not massively in favour of Colt teams. But if it's the stopgap to get automatic relegation and two of our teams up into the League Two or Stevie Aiken's League Three, if we can get that going again, that'd be class. But
is that its official title now? Stevie Aiken's
League Three. I mean, Stevie, we chat about the League Three. We've got big plans for the League Three. You know, that could be the new one. League Three. Bring up some teams from the West. Bring up some teams from the East. Bring up some teams from the Lowland, and let's go, man. Let's have a good old League Three, man.
Good shindig.
League Three's the way it goes. I mean, we say what you want about Stevie Aiken, but League Three's a great idea.
Oh, please don't fish. Please don't fish on me.
I love it. I love the League Three idea. It's cool. I think it's been mentioned once, but I mean, I'm genuinely really for it. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you boys. I'm really for it.
I just love the way that it was mentioned once in a random interview, and the Daily Record ran with it for a couple of weeks, no realising it was just nonsense.
Just one guy talking shit in the fucking press.
That's a scary thing though, Ben. Like, if you're for it, then there'll be another few hundred people that are like, yeah, we should go for League 3 as well.
What are you saying, Chris? I'm some sort of influencer? Is that what you're trying to say? I've got some sort of influence at this level. If I'm into it, then these are two of folk. Nah, I mean, it's one of those that... Who knows, man? Strange things have happened in this league. Let's be honest.
Like, put it this way, we didn't start the pyramid and we didn't get all non-league teams on board to put another obstacle in the way of teams getting up to the SPFL. It was already hard enough to get up to the SPFL as it is. Sticking another league in the way, teams in the West of Scotland conferences, are they going to be happy about that? Didn't think so.
But what happens though if you maybe got 3 relegation spots in League 3? What do you think then? That might would that not maybe sway
I think we should just get more relegation for the Lowlands, to be honest.
But that's not going to happen though. Let's be honest. We're not going to get loads of numbers out of League 2 into Lowland Highland. That's not really going to happen. Remember, self-preservation is key in the League 2 teams. I can't see
League
that
2,
happen.
but no, the Lowland have shown the fact that Vale of Leithen can still get relegated at this point. The Lowland aren't scared of that. But we just need to move them quicker, is what my argument would be, because there just seems to be an idea with the Lowland, and this might be a wee bit controversial, I guess, but that they're just kind of moseying on, just quite happy to wait and see what comes along. We need to push them a wee bit, I would say, on relegation. Now that the West, you're seeing so many teams begin to get licensing done in the West, and that was always the thing they said, well, if there's only teams in the East, why do we need to have more than one relegation spot? It's changing now. And I don't really think having a 3-way playoff is the way to go for Tier 6. It just doesn't work. So I think we need to move up to 2 relegation spots ASAP, to be honest with you. We need to do that. We need to do that anyway to go down to 16 teams, because the league is meant to be 16 teams. So why not just do it 1 year and then keep it?
You're just saying that because of the epic rivalry between BSC Glasgow and Vale of Leithen that's developed over the last month or so.
To be fair, I get on well with Ando. I really like Ando. He's got a tough old job, to be fair. But I just think with the amount of teams that are fighting to get up to Lowland and their standards are a wee bit, but let's be honest, there's teams there that are better than teams that are in the Lowland. Sorry to be brutally honest, folks, but we need to just encourage movement up and down the pyramid to find teams at natural level, is what I'd say. Very Craig Levine statement there. But
do the West of Scotland thing and just relegate 7 of them off the bat. That'll get things moving, won't it?
I mean, that's going to be mental next year. I think obviously this season we played the season to where we got to, and obviously relegation was then kind of taken away, and promotion conferences and stuff like that were cancelled because of the teams that were stepping out. But I mean, I presume. I mean, I haven't heard anything concrete from the likes of Talbot, Cumnock, Pollock, Glenafton, and I can't remember the fifth team from the Kilburn Elite side from the West Premier to say they're definitely coming back. I presume they are coming back because I think if you look at their reasons for not playing, I mean, we're talking it was player welfare last year, but I think the fan thing was probably quite key in terms of money and stuff like that for teams. And fair play, but looking at ahead to like the Euros and stuff like that, we're talking about what 12k going to be at Hampden for Scotland games. I don't see how we will have any issue having 200 at Vale Park in Kilburn or Beechwood and Talbot at some point. Or in Auchinleck rather next season. So I think we'll be back to a full complement of teams. We'll go to that 7, and it's going to be some league because if you're in that bottom half of that league next season, you're going to be in danger of going relegated.
Yeah,
and I think we've seen from some teams already this year, like likes of Hurlford have kind of parted ways with some of their guys that were probably mainstays in their squad, and some of them I think are going to move on to other teams. But I think probably Hurlford, a team for example, who were probably getting a wee bit stale and probably could be in danger of getting relegated if it's a 7-team relegation battle next year, because you don't want to be in that. You don't want to go down to a conference and have to get back up the following season. That's going to be detrimental to a lot of teams' kind of plans in terms of licence and stuff like that. So I can't wait for the West season to start. It's going to be pretty exciting, I must admit.
There's a comment in the chat there about how about 3 for 1 of the West, East and the South getting promoted. I think long term that's the way they'll go, but the South won't be where it is right now. The South is going to end up in the West of Scotland system. So I think one going up for the West, one going up for the East is the way to go. In all honesty, get the champions promoted, simple.
Absolutely, I think that's the right thing to do. There's enough teams in both leagues now that are going to be capable and have the licensing and going to hold their own as well in that league. I think that's the thing. Once you start to see that probably there's 5 or 6 teams in both leagues that are going to be absolutely capable of challenging the Lowland League teams. So that league's going to be one of the most competitive leagues in Scotland, no doubt about it, because you're going to have the best of the Lowland League teams. Obviously, you're going to see Lowland League teams get promoted, I'd imagine, over the course of the next 3 or 4 years. But then that'll just backfill with good West teams, good East teams, and you're going to have a really, really competitive league, and it's going to be pretty exciting.
Any thoughts, Chris? You're just quite happy?
Yeah, I don't think it's anything we've not really said before, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's I think the interesting one for the West of Scotland, you sort of touched on it there, Ben, is I don't think, even if there was, I don't think there will be any teams that won't come back, but I don't think they'll keep the structure the same, where it's just like, okay, well, Auchinleck's pulling out or whatever. There's not going to be any change between the conferences and the Premiership. I don't think they'll do that either way for another season, because at the moment, obviously, it was obviously going to stay as it is. I don't think they'll do that for a second season, and that'll be an interesting one if there is any sort of pullouts from the conferences or the Premier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I think as well you're going to see a few teams potentially coming into the league as well through the applications that we've seen. I think I was watching something the other day, and there's a talk of a team from Paisley, St Peters are going to be coming up. They look like they're going to be capable. I think there's a team in Kilsyth, I believe, as well. And another Kilsyth team are going to have applied and look like they might get in. I think Harmony Row, the other team that have been mentioned as well. A good youth system within Scottish youth football, but want to take their shot at getting in the West, because I think the thing about a lot of these kind of amateur teams is that some of the amateur teams are better than some of the bottom feeders at in the West of Scotland. I mean, if you look back in the old divisions and kind of the tier 9 level, those teams that are absolutely rotten that are just surviving being a junior team or being a West of Scotland team now. And if they're going to really amount to anything exciting, they might get the odd promotion out of a tier 9 and a tier 8 maybe or something, going to run that way, but they're not going to climb the levels. I think that's the thing as well. So looking forward to the next season. I must admit it's going to be pretty exciting. I think you obviously hopefully get the South Challenge Cup as well, which will be good to have the Lowland League teams, the East teams and the South teams all playing against each other.
Hopefully go in and get past the first round this time as well. So.
Well, that's obviously massively important. I mean, if not, then I'll just be gallivanting around the country doing official catch-up business or something like that because I've nothing to do. So every cloud in it in terms of that. But I mean, winning, got to say it. We need to do something in these cups, man, because I've been there for 2 years and we have not made it past the second round in 2 years. We beat what was it called? Dundee
Violet.
Violet, yeah. In my first Scottish Cup game, and then we played that Banks of D mob on our Bridge of Dawn, was it? I always called them Banks of D. Yeah, Bridge of Dawn from Aberdeen, and we somehow managed a draw to each at home, and had to go up the other following week to a sports ground that was basically a running track, and make it be 3-1 or something like that. And there's about 50 folk there in a biscuit tin. There was nothing like there was nothing to do, and it was like, and then we were out, and then obviously we played Socky in the. I think we were quite unfortunate Socky game that game was postponed because of the weather, and the Saturday, and we had to play in the midweek game, and I think we were just maybe a bit leg weary in the midweek, and we probably didn't take it too seriously enough. I think it was probably half the battle, and we're at the cup, so. I won't be booking any hotels or anything like that in advance of rounds again. Not doing that again. I mean, did that last season.
Is this a good segue to move into talking about the Midland League?
The Midland League, well, that's it. I mean, a lot of teams that we get to play in the old Scottish Junior Cup in that regard have looked like they're going to be bringing in the Midland League to the system. Mozza, how's that going to work then for? Do you think from the kind of league tier structure perspective?
It looks to be dead simple, to be honest. Basically, what they're doing is all East Region North sides would move over. You've seen one or two have withdrawn their applications to the East of Scotland League because this is happening. And it will tie into the Highland League. So basically, similar to what the Lowland is now with the West, East and the South Leagues underneath it, the Highland will have the North Cali, the North Juniors and this Midland League, essentially the East Juniors North region below it. So it'll tie in exactly the same way. And they're allowing the likes of Tayport into the Midland League because they're a DD postcode, even though they're technically south of the river. So if you get a DD postcode or you're up in that neck of the woods, you're in the Midland League, essentially in that catchment area, which is a sensible thing to do, I think, because Tayport didn't want to lose all their traditional games or traditional rivalries, and it just makes common sense not to fire them into a league where they're the far north team when they could be going down to, like, Tweedmouth, for example. So, it finally, it's the big positive in Scottish football the last couple of weeks. We've finally got to the point we're on the cusp of a proper pyramid now. There's a tiny, tiny wee area at the North Argyll and Bute that's not covered yet, which I think would technically be North Caledonian League area, but there's no teams coming through there, let's be honest. It's a bit of rock and sheep in that area. So we've got to the point where anyone can start a club in Scotland and join a league appropriate to their area and move all the way up in the pyramid. And that's exactly what the aim was at the start. So I'm delighted by it.
We could get out a squad of 18 sheep to represent them.
I think that's more an Aberdeen thing, mate.
Couldn't be any worse than some teams, let's be honest.
But the other thing that's gone under the radar is the North Juniors getting on board, because they've been very hesitant up to this point. It was always the North Cali League pushing, and they already had agreement to sit underneath the Highland League. But the fact that the North Juniors have finally just bit the bullet and said, I think they'll still technically be run by the same folks, so it'll still be the SGFA and all that, but they're getting in the pyramid that way. So it means the SGFA continue on as a historic body as well. They'll be happy enough with that. We finally got there. Final.
Just coming back to the topic on the West teams that have applied, Scottish FM ref saying there that St Peters and Glenvale from Paisley are the teams. I think Glenvale, they are the team that are kind of the Darvel youth side, I think. As well as Harmony Row from Braehead, kind of Govan Way. Open Saints. Now, I don't know that Open Saints have actually applied, to be honest. I don't think they have as of yet. I believe it's another team kind of out there, kind of Argyll and Bute Way. Ends in town, perhaps. There's a hint.
There's us saying we're not going to give away anything.
And Hart Hill Royal, yeah, I believe Hart Hill are a team. Kilbride Thistle that are they are in, well, technically they are West Kilbride, but I think they're going to play. They want to play at Drawson, but I think they've got a few issues with grounds as well and stuff.
Yeah,
I don't think they'll try to play at a bloody running track somewhere in a Drawson, so or Saltcoast. So I don't imagine that they'll be coming in. I think that the Harmony Row one, and I think St Peters, I think they're kind of the positive ones, and I certainly know they've got a good bit of infrastructure in place. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But they'll bolster the conferences certainly, and we'll have kind of maybe even numbers and a better spread. I know the conferences are kind of a bit of a concern for some teams in the conferences because they're playing against a lot of teams from maybe the Glasgow area and they're from Ayrshire and vice versa. So they might balance the conference out a wee bit more if they've got some teams coming in to kind of plug some gaps and allow the teams that are maybe like, so I think it was a Drawson, Winton Rovers were one of the teams that were they were in a conference with kind of basically Glasgow and kind of Lanarkshire teams and stuff like that. So there might be an opportunity there to balance that out and kind of give more of an Ayrshire conference. I don't know if our local papers are all full of people wanting for an Ayrshire League or an Ayrshire Cup and all this crap, but I've been Vix and Coke and ram it, as the saying goes. But it's certainly going to be interesting, no doubt about it. But go back to the Midland League Mozza. Yeah, I think it's great. We're finally getting to a point where we're going to have pretty much a full pyramid. I'm all for these Argyll and Butte trips, by the way. So hopefully these teams that have sheeps get involved, so we can get a wee trip up to the. How class would a wee away day to like I don't know, Malig or something like that would be? That'd be some day out, man. That would be like
Open Saints would be an unbelievable.
I think like, I'm so on board with the likes of Open Saints and the team with Town in their name coming in because the away day trip will be something else. But I don't know how close they are to actually getting to the point. I think there was also talk perhaps of RNFC joining and a team from Rothsay, I believe. Is it Brandame Bulls? I think was the other team that I kind of read on one of the good online football forums the other week.
Rothsay was the one I was quite excited about.
I mean, all those are going to be like they're going to be like. I mean, in your head, they're going to be great away days, but see, maybe after the first one, you're going to be like, that's an absolute nightmare of a journey. I mean, imagine trying to get to the likes of Campbelltown for a Tuesday night away game. That's not going to be feasible for MD. So there's a lot of logistics to be kind of worked out on that base. Will be interesting to see that.
I think the two we can talk comfortably about are St Peters and Harthill because the two have had people from those clubs confirm that they're in for it. So the other ones are a bit up in the air, and obviously it depends on. It might just be an expression of interest. They might go to full up. It depends on the ground visits that are going to get done as well, because the process is somebody that's in the West that's respected will go and have a look at their facilities and say aye or nay, basically. But I think St Peters are basically looking as if they're rubber stamped at this point, aren't they? They've got everything in place and they're quite ambitious as well. They remind me a wee bit of a drum chapel that they've got everything in place and they're ready to rumble straight off.
Comment there from Scottish FM ref. He's saying he knows that Glenville want to play at Ferguson Hill Astro, so their application was rejected. I think that's just a kind of, as I say, it is an Astro that is not closed off or anything like that. So that's definitely one of the teams in St Peters. I think as I say, that if you watch one of the other podcasts that are kicking away, one of the guys on there is involved in St Peters, and they sound like they're doing a lot of work to get ready for the application. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. But
I've just realised who that is.
Clocked it. We've clocked it there, yeah, indeed. So another comment there from Shove. Thanks, man. That seems like a fucking really nice compliment. Cheers. I don't know what you're talking about, man, because I got a haircut as well, and I look great, but I don't know what you're saying. Thanks for that, Shove.
The Botox is obviously doing a show for me, Alec.
Set, man. And Reedy's coming in with Mozza is not wearing a hat. I know, Reedy, that is what I was surprised at as well. The lack of cap from Mozza is.
I thought I'd just dispel the rumours that I was bald, so.
I've got hair, honestly. You know?
I've had the Wayne Rooney surgery, you know.
Whereas Chris is keeping the hat going for us all there. He's got his... Well, hopefully maybe get a haircut next week from Chris just to see what...
I think hopefully next
Amy
week,
Winehouse under that.
It's not quite that bad. It's not quite the weave or whatever, but no, I can't wait for a haircut. Like, I'm looking forward to it.
So where are we going now is a question, because there's still 101 things to talk about.
I think one of the talking points, we were mentioned Vale leaving briefly earlier on, and there was comments made, I think, the other day around about changing the goalposts. So I think obviously Vale even look like they're probably going to get relegated at this point in the season based on the PPG. But I know they're pretty upset about the fact that they might go down. I mean, we'll come to you, Mozza, first. What do you think firstly on that?
I personally think that they can't really complain too much when I've had 0 points on the board. I know obviously there's not a full season being played and they'll say that we've not reached the 50% mark and so on, but at the end of the day they've not managed to get a single point for their games they played, and they were struggling last year as well. I feel like it's a matter of time for the likes of Vale to go back down the tiers. But I get the point, because I know there's something about goalposts being changed, but my response to that would be, well, what else are we meant to do in this situation? Like, we couldn't play. It wasn't us that decided we couldn't play, it was the Scottish Government that decided. Like, we can't just come back and play 2 games. That's not going to work. There is a way they're going to stay up if the East of Scotland null and void, because I believe that permission would be granted for us to continue going with 17 teams. It obviously depends on the playoffs as well. If Brecon are Club 42, there's no worries, because it's not another Lowland team getting relegated. If Annan slip down, then there is a worry for Vale. But as long as Brecon are Club 42, then Vale should be alright, assuming the East of Scotland null and void, so they'll get a reprieve. However, I don't think there should be that much I don't think they can be that annoyed if they get relegated if they do. But it might be very different if I was in the same situation with BSC. So yeah, it might be quite a biased thing for me to say that.
So yeah, I feel for Vale leading here. I'm gonna stick in, back them up here. I think we obviously the start of the season you set out the rules in terms of what's to happen, and there was talk obviously about if you played a full season, then fair dues, or they played pretty much more of a season then they probably just deserves to go down. But I think in terms of what the rules are, we've obviously nominated a champion or nominated a representative for the playoff, which is fine because I understand we've got to protect the playoff. But I think Vale probably should feel kind of a little bit hard done by. I know what you're saying, Mozza, about them not being great. Let's be honest, no points this season, and they weren't great last season. So by rights they're due to get relegated at some point. However, I think they're right to be feeling a wee bit hard done by and a wee bit aggrieved by the situation. So I'm okay with Vale. I think we mentioned there Brecon. I think I'm pretty happy to see that Brecon will be the team that go down, and I don't see anything from them so far that looks like they're going to be capable. And they've got Daz Christie, so they'll be fine. So they should be fine. Like, I mean, shout out to Annan. I'm sure they've been paying a lot of attention to this podcast over the last few weeks or months, and certainly obviously they know we're big fans of Daz Christie, so have made the absolute genius decision to pick up a man of that calibre, and I'm sure Daz will pull them out the relegation problems, no doubt. Would you think, Chris?
I still rate Chris Erskine over Daz, I'm sorry.
I mean, yeah.
Get him out.
I mean, you're obviously...
I think that the The Vale thing was, I actually love Vale Leaving. I think they're funny, like especially the sort of quoted tweet to Swifty. Obviously, I think they're right. I think I agree with you,
Ben.
Ben.
As if the goalpost suited BSC, by the way, as well, because we've definitely not gone down from second to fourth and missed out and stuff.
That's true as well. And I think Swifty had put something out about the bottom team or something, but they conveniently missed that out, which was great. But it would be harsh to see them relegated. I was against relegation last season, as well as this season, and it was the same with Hearts and Partick, and I would have said Brecon as well. But the difference was the SPFL chose to relegate Hearts. They chose to relegate Partick. That's what people are misunderstanding. It's like, well, how can you say Hearts were hard done by and Partick were hard done by when Brecon stayed on or whatever? And I was just like, well, the thing is, Hearts and Partick and that all got relegated, So why didn't Brecon at least have to play a playoff or whatever it would have been? I know, again, it goes back to this automatic relegation thing, but if you're the bottom team, I think you have to. I don't know if you've got to. I feel two ways about it, because I think you're right in some respects as well, Mozza. It's like we say about Vale leaving. Would they be hard done by not playing a full season? I think everyone is, even the winners and losers. But again, they haven't won a game, they haven't drawn a game, they've got no points, or they had no points in the league this season. So
the thing is, we shouldn't even be having this conversation, because before those goalposts were changed, funnily enough, we had an intention to null and void Lowland and put Kelty forward as champion club. Null and void means nobody gets relegated. So the only reason we're having this chat is because the SFA said, oh no, you need to declare the season finished, points per game or whatever. And that's the only reason that Vale are still awaiting their fate. So it might sound like passing the buck. It is in a way, but we shouldn't be in a situation in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think as well. I think looking at the teams, the leagues below, I think East of Scotland are probably going to go down the null and void route anyway.
Yeah.
There's not enough teams in the West in terms of being able to get licensed at the moment. I think the only team that really would have been possible were Clydebank. And even at that, I don't know if they're going to be ready for this year. So there's not going to be a queue of teams this season ready to go up. So Vale will get their chance. And I think for Vale, I mean, they have to buck up their ideas and do something and show us that they're a Lowland League team. Because if not next season, I think the way we're going in life right now, where the vaccine seems to be doing its job, and people, the case numbers and things like that are coming down. We're looking towards now where the kind of life is going to head back towards normality. That means then the football season is probably going to be as normal as possible. We might see some cups maybe getting dropped, but in general, I think in terms of our league season, I think there's going to be no doubt. I don't see any doubts next season. I know from we talked in the podcast back last year, that I said straight away that I didn't see the league finishing, and obviously that's happened. So great prediction from Ben. Just
you can't about for yourself there.
Mystic Meg.
That's called it. But looking ahead to the following season, I don't see that being a problem. I think we'll be okay. Whether or not we start with fans at the beginning, I'm not too sure. I would like to think so, based on what I said earlier about the likes of the Euros having 12k or whatever it is that the tournament having. I don't see a problem at our level, but who knows? The SFL, it could be anything in terms of what the rules allow. But I think at some point next year we'll see fans. That's the thing.
Jason Leach made some positive noises about non-league starting with fans, didn't he, this week? So that's obviously, I think these things can change, but I think that's a good sign for us that when we get back in mid-July, I'd like to think we'll have, even if it's capped at 100 or something, I'd like to think we'll have fans back. And I just can't wait for it. Yeah,
well, I think looking at some of the stuff that I've been going about, I've seen some chats about kind of like music venues and gig venues and stuff like that, where they're kind of talking about doing things based on the risk assessment of the venue. So if that kind of model transpires into football, then it's probably down to the risk assessment of the venue. A lot of the grounds that we have in lower league football probably are catered for about, I don't know, maybe 2,000, 3,000 people standing. So if we're talking percentages of that, then I don't see an issue with having a percentage of the capacity in the ground, and And let's face it, there's not loads of teams that have massive crowds. I mean, they're probably talking most teams are talking 300, maybe 400, 600, 700 on a big game. Probably there's a few likes of Paul Talbot and things like that. They've got the bigger ones, and the same again in the East. There's probably some bigger attendances, but by and large, we're talking about probably most grounds are 10%, 15% capacity most of the time anyway. So I don't
most
imagine
open air as well, like open
exactly.
standing areas. So there's no issues for that side of things.
And if you look at it just now, we're already seeing 50, 60 folk in churches on a Sunday morning, and before all the church people come for me, I just don't think it's right that if you can't go to football, you can't go to church. Simple as that. That's the way I look at it. And so I think we'll be good for football at some point. But as you said, Jason Leach has said some positive stuff. Jason Leach, if you're watching, come on the podcast. Let's have a chat. I mean, we're still waiting for that conversation about come on, have a chat, and we'll talk about the how it maybe work and how you'll see it working in the lower leagues of Scottish football. But yeah, I think we're hopeful anyway, certainly for a season to start. So
I thought you were going to invite the Lord on there after what you said about the church there.
I got my haircut this week. I looked like Jesus up until about Monday there. So
we'll get our church correspondent Marvin Andrews on at some point.
Big Marv.
To be fair, I think one thing we've not actually mentioned is that obviously you're talking about risk and stuff like that, but one thing we've kind of banged on about, especially when we were actually wanting fans back in, if you will. I'm not going to talk too much about this because we already know that there's less risk for outdoors, and I think we've already said it about the percentages of capacities and what we could or what clubs could do within, I guess, protocols or whatever. But yeah, I'm a wait and see until it happens because to be fair, I think fans should have already been in if they were local to the area, because there's just no risk outdoors. It's been said even by guys like Jason Leach. So. I don't know. Honestly, I mean, they're already got people in outdoor parks, obviously, where they're exercising and running about and stuff like that. So if you could even get maybe, don't know, as you said, 50 people spread out in a ground, then they should be able to do it, I think.
I mean, we're no scientists. We're no pretending to be. We're just wanting a bit of common sense. And as of yesterday, I think they said 99% of vulnerable folk are now vaccinated. So surely the time's come to get back to a wee bit of normality. Surely. Like, we can't stay like this forever. So, fingers crossed, because the clubs need the fans back as well. Like, it's just not the same watching football on a live stream, is it? So, as much as I enjoyed doing them.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. I think you're right. I think the whole experience of doing the live stream has been something I've really enjoyed. And I think some clubs will probably keep it, to be quite honest, because I don't think it makes that much difference to the fan base. You probably find that the people who were going to come to the game will come at the game anyway, and those who maybe wouldn't bother coming to games but would sit in the house and watching on the telly on a Saturday afternoon or Friday night or whatever it's going to be in terms of games, then I don't see why what it's going to affect. I know from my own club perspective, we are going to live stream games next year regardless of what's the
BSC as well.
We're recording the games anyway, so in terms of infrastructure, it's only a case of having another laptop and a bit of a capture card device that then takes the feed onto the internet. So I don't see that being. It's not too much of an extra input required from our team in terms of bodies and things like that. But certainly. It will be one of those ones, and maybe even the thing is, the fans might look at it and go, well, I could watch it on the TV, but do you know what? Actually, I'm going to go down the game instead because I can go and see it for £6 live in the environment. And if I've got 2 fans watching my live stream, but I've got 300 in Buffs Park, I'm going to be delighted. I mean, that's going to be great for me, and we get a great viewer experience. That obviously we'll do highlights anyway and things like that. So. It'll add to all that, but we all want fans back because let's be honest, the fans are the lifeblood of football, and without fans, football is nothing. That's obviously a phrase that's been used throughout, and we've seen that this year. That the football just wasn't the same. I mean, we were very lucky. The 3 of us, we all got to go to games and do our bit for clubs and stuff like that, and we were very fortunate that was to be in a privileged position because I think we've seen ourselves when football gets stopped in January, how much we missed it, and that can only be the same for the fans. Not being able to go to the game on a Saturday. Some people probably have a situation where their only social aspect, their only social circumstances is the football on a Saturday, where they go and meet some mates, the people they know from football and things like that, and they enjoy a game, get a pie, have a few pints, and back up the road. So I think that's very important for our fans and the communities that we all live in, and hopefully, as I say, there'll be something. But you never know with the way that the people make the rules here. It could always be that make it a shock and they'll need to wait a wee bit. But I think my fans will be here at some point, no doubt.
Get a few comments that we can maybe pick up on.
Straight on every day's football is my church.
Well,
Radio worships the religion of football, so there's one for you there. In terms of there's one here from Shove around about the season starting. I think I don't know about the other leagues like the low and the least, but certainly listen to the kind of the chat in the local press in the West. I think we're looking at an early July start. I think
17th of July has been confirmed.
That's been the aim. I don't think it's been actually finalised yet in terms of the West.
It has for the Lowland. Lowland have said 17th of July is the date. So
I think the West are still discussing it, and but I think that's the aim. I think that makes a lot of sense because let's face it, we'll be geared towards a playoff for the Lowland, for the West teams, and these teams next season. So it would make a lot of sense that all those leagues start at the same time. So we can maybe kind of align the cup competitions and stuff like that if we are going to play the South Challenge, for example. I hope that does play because I think the South Challenge is going to be the kind of the de facto Scottish Cup. Let's be honest. I mean, no disrespect to the North teams, the Highland League teams, but the rivalries that could be created out of the South Challenge Cup, it could be really really exciting and make it a good competition.
It's going to be the biggest cup in non-league now, isn't it? The South Challenge Cup. The most prestigious anyway. So I'm just happy we managed to get a win in it before it expanded so we can see where Hull does in the future. Shove, I noticed you earlier on asking who would win the Easter Scotland in points per game. Genefield would win it, having played about 9 games, which is the other contentious issue because I don't think Trinent and the like would be too chuffed if it went that way.
That's it. I think, it's one of those. Points per game's not ideal for anyone. I mean, that'll be the one that probably took you the worst 2 seasons ago when Talbot got points per game in the league in the West and things like that. And obviously, that didn't really make a massive difference, but certainly points per game's not ideal. But it's the way we have to resolve it, and there's never going to be any way. If you were to null and void every league, you wouldn't have. People would lose out again, so it's one of those ones that finds a balance and we kind of get to the point where we find something there. So, and our comment from Shove is the Challenge Cup has the potential to be huge. I absolutely agree with that. I think Chris and Mozza, we've had chats offline about what we can do as a podcast around the South Challenge Cup, and I think there's a lot of scope, and I think marketed the right way, that league, that competition could be, as you say, the biggest competition and the one that really kind of holds a lot of kind of kudos for teams who manage to win that, because you've got the East teams, you've got the West teams, you've got the South teams, and obviously the Lowland teams who, if you go back to the old Scottish Cup, there's a lot of great rivalries there. I think to ourselves, we like Kelty and like Thornton Hibs, Socky, Owen Lithgow Rose and all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of there. And then there's the opportunity to have these kind of, maybe these newer rivalries where I'd love to play BSC. I mean, I'm absolutely all for the BSC match. And Moss's dog has just arrived in Mozza Towers here.
She has indeed, aye.
There's a question I was going to ask you actually, Ben, because I noticed something. I think it was Clydebank actually, and I don't know if this is official or not, but I noticed obviously null and void means pretty much like everything is scrapped, but they were saying that a certain player's goal still counted, so the stats still count for the season, but the games don't. I'm sure it was Clydebank that said something about. I might be wrong, or the team, but I saw something where it said like such and such had scored so many goals. We've had clarification that they still count, even though the season was null and void. So it's like, do they still count?
I guess the thing about the goals is that they were scored in games and appearances that take place. So You know what players are like. They always want to count their goals no matter what the competition is. So
if Pele can count park kickabout goals, we can count these goals, right?
that's it.
Bloody school game goals and that in Part East 1000.
Well,
I just thought it was interesting. I think I don't know, it's one of those sort of rabbit holes. It's like, all right, well,
it doesn't count for the West of Scotland to Pele, by the way, but we'll move on.
God.
If Scottish FM ref saying, do you think there'll be a North Challenge Cup with the Highland League North Region juniors and the Midland and the North Cali?
That already existed. The North Region
already
existed, but it doesn't happen now. Like,
I don't think there's as much appetite up there just now for a cup like that. They've already got quite a few regional wee cups like the Aberdeenshire Cup, the Aberdeenshire Shield, North of Scotland Cup. North Cali's get their own couple of cups as well. The North Juniors have 101 bloody cups. So it might do in the fullness of time. And I think it'd be a good thing for the region, especially when it's just getting started and teams are getting to know each other, but not immediately, I wouldn't think, because I don't know, North teams just, they don't seem as kind of keen to move about as they do down here, if that makes sense. Like, I feel in the Lowland there's a bit more of a keenness for teams here to go and play teams all over the shop and have a bit of an experience. The North seem to be a wee bit more keen to be local.
Yeah, I think you're right, Moz. I think if you look back to the days of the Scottish Junior Cup, it was a competition that everyone loved to play in, and a lot of teams built success off the winning, like the Scottish Cup, for example. But there's a lot of teams there that were known as Scottish Cup teams rather than maybe teams that were good in the league. So you're right. I think the appetite there is in the lower league, at the lower leagues rather. But I think in terms of the North, I think they're probably more concerned about actually getting the season played.
Yeah.
This year with trying to get started late and stuff like that. So I think the focus for a lot of teams will be is getting that league played, because we don't. Obviously, this year we had the cup competitions that took up some fixture slots and things like that. So we'll be keen to get the league finished properly this year. That'll be one of the main focuses, I'm sure. So it'll be exciting regardless. And as I say, hopefully Kilwinning can go on a cup run rather than
I mean, long term, I'd love to see if we had the South Challenge Cup winner against a North Challenge Cup winner in a Shield game to finish the season, something like that. Would be a nice way to do it, I think, especially for the whole of non-league.
Comment there from Michael. He's saying it should be about 160 teams in the next season's South Challenge Cup, 144 currently, and a new 16 teams from the East and West. I mean, we'll need to probably start that playing in bloody June if there's that many teams. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, they're going to be need to get kicked off pretty sharpish if you want to get that played. But I think it's not a replay situation. It's just played to finish the games, isn't it? So
I think it's played to finish, extra time pens or just straight pens. But
I can never remember, because I can never remember if it's straight to pens or extra time, because obviously it's kind of similar to the Football Nations.
Yeah,
so,
I think it had extra time.
Yeah, I can never remember.
It definitely had extra time when we played the final. Yeah, I remember that much.
Yeah. A wee shout out to Buffy, actually, because he helps me with the Wikipedia for non-league, so we shout out. Good that you're in, mate.
Good to see Buffy there. Shuff saying, I remember how long the draw was for the Challenge Cup. I think the last season's like the first round and second round draw took a long time.
An hour and a half, was it? I'm sure it was. We've got it on the channel anyway.
It didn't help the boy took 2 minutes to draw every bloody ball at the channel, though.
They had the first round, wasn't it? They had the first round and then they had to reset the balls and all that. Then
yeah.
Second round and all that, and we ended up being a bit of a
technical difficulties as well.
A mess, but I mean, they should get us involved. I keep saying this, but
technically they have, to be fair.
Aye, but let's do it at Hampden next year. This is what I keep saying. Let's do it at Hampden next season.
Let us plug the joint to Football Manager and get it done in 2 minutes. Like,
well, there you go. Draw all teams. Boom.
That's it. Job done. Random draw all teams. See what happens. And let folk have conspiracy theories that will set it all up at the start.
That would be funny. Definitely, must admit.
Man, just a reload. Reload every time. Oh, we didn't like that tiled.
I didn't want to be away to Talbot first round. Let me redo that.
Imagine. Call me in from Craig Reid. Good news this week was that the Velma League will hopefully start early too. boys missed a lot of football the last year, arguably that more than most. Yeah, I think it was a real shame how the development league's situation played out last year. We expected obviously that, like for example, the Lowland League, Development League looked like it was going to be a good competition with the West teams coming on board, and it was a lot of hype around it. It was going to be Friday night games and stuff like that, which I was really excited about because I don't do a lot of Friday nights, and I was going to get involved in that from a club perspective. And I think that was the thing. They got very unfortunate with the rules around kind of being allowed to play football. I don't even remember really what happened, but it certainly was. It seemed like an odd situation where that your under 18s were allowed to play and stuff, and then the over 18s to like 21, 22.
A certain youth organisation kicked off about the development league going ahead, because as far as I'm aware, it was going to go ahead at first, and then certain bodies kicked off about it, and it never went ahead. Yeah, but I'm a big fan of the development league. I used to go on Friday nights. I missed it this season actually, but of course we missed football in general this season, I guess. Apart from the few games we could get to.
It's just really good to see that teams at our level are so keen to get it going, and give kids a route to the first team. Because like it's not just obviously development league. You've seen other clubs go a different way about it and link up with local youth clubs as well, and like teams that have gone all the way up to adult and they don't have a final step are making the connection with, say, West of Scotland, East of Scotland teams, and they've got that now. So it can only be a good thing for guys that would probably be lost to the game. Let's be honest.
Well, that's it. I think I've seen it from our own perspective that we hadn't had an under 20s team, for example, up until the development league was made, and we went about our business and created a team, and I think we kind of brought up a lot of our under 17s and 18s into the and that squad will be there next year. That's the thing I think I'm looking forward to seeing, that because a lot of teams will maybe do that, where they'll bring 17, 18-year-olds into their development teams, and they'll kind of go on a journey where they're kind of 2 or 3 years and they'll mature, and hopefully they'll be ready to step into the first team at some point. I think.
Well, that's a good thing. That's a good thing about it. A lot of obviously it can be hit and miss, because there's a few teams. I think Newton Grange Star were one of them, where their under 20s were basically like 16, 17-year-olds. So it can be hit and miss with the teams, but certainly we have seen the likes. Obviously, like more recently, Kelty and Spartans under 20s go into either full-time football or basically a senior clubs in the Lowland League, or even Kelty itself. So it's a good standard, depending on the team and the players, I guess.
That's it. I think there's quite a big jump for me between like under 18 youth football and then amateur, which I think that'll help this step, because you probably find a lot of lads will kind of drop away when it gets to kind of after 18 level of football, and there'll be that step where the player might decide then to stick around, and you kind of get that carrot of being able to be involved, perhaps. Because I think, like, again, come back to our own situation, we've had a few lads who trained with us last season and were in our squad because they were in the development league, because they had the contracts and situation where they could come up without any issues, whereas before it was a bit more difficult to actually get players to kind of come up to and dual contracts and things like that from youth teams. So that'll be good, and I think the players themselves you'll find that they'll train with the first team on occasion as well, and that will improve the game all over as well. So it's definitely going to be exciting. I think the other thing about Friday night football really excites me as well. Even if it is kind of youth football, there'll be an opportunity there for people who maybe want to come down and get a few pints and watch the 20s team as well on a Friday night. If you can go and, I mean, obviously you can go to the pub on a Friday night, but if you want to go and catch some football, most teams probably won't charge, or if they do, they'll charge pennies for people to come, and you say you'll probably get a drink and a pie or whatever on a Friday, then you can come back on the Saturday and watch the first team, or if you may be busy on a Saturday, you can still catch your youth team. And folk love that kind of thing of being able to follow the youth teams. I remember going back to like being a Kilmarnock fan, you're always keen to go and watch the 15s, the 16s, the 17s, the reserves, because you want to see the next guy coming through, you know, from those teams. So I think there'll be a lot of appetite from my fan base as well. So and not to mention obviously parents and things like that of the players. That's obviously still hugely important for people to go watch their kids play. There'll obviously be a lot more kind of what's it called, kudos, because I played in a kind of potentially a professional team in that regard too. So looking forward to 20s League starting next year. I must admit it's going to be exciting. Let's see what else we've got in the comments.
I was going to say, is there anything else to?
Back to the North Cali Cup. Talking about how it was that duplication of the Highland League Cup. Yeah, I think you're right. There was so many different versions of cups in the up north that they probably were quite duplications and similar in a lot of regards, but definitely one to look out for. Any other thing we've missed, guys? We can chat about in this like sticks out.
I don't think so. I think we've covered most stuff. Obviously, we touched on fans being back. Obviously, it's been confirmed that the Euros at Hampden's going to have crowds, so that's a good step. Football generally as well. Although, as much as I hate Stephen Presley, because he just sends me to sleep anytime he's in the telly. I watched the Hearts game the other night. He had a point at Hampden, and not full Hampden is a terrible atmosphere. So I just hope that the boys didn't let us down, that they gave us a performance or two.
Full Hampden's a terrible atmosphere. The stadium's I hate the stadium, man. You're too far away from the pitch, like, and so I just can't stand Hampden. I'd rather a game be bloody at Tynecastle or Tannadice or something like that. It's just too far away. I mean, I've actually played at Hampden as well, and it's just I just don't like the stadium to play or to watch or to view or anything.
I love how me and Ben made I smell shite face at the same time there.
Tell us more, Chris. Tell us more. Where did you play at Hampden?
School, mate. I played. We got to. It was kind of like I don't know if it was like a cup final, a regional cup final, basically. It was Inverkeven, and they played. No, it was at Hampden. It was at Hampden.
Car park.
We played a team. I think they were from Aberdeen or something. Anyway, but yeah, it was a school final. Inverkeven versus like a fucking Aberdeen team, whoever they were.
Cheers, Sean Spade. I'm assuming that is complimenting
for the Machine podcast, the Kelty podcast there. Calling it there. Cheers, Sean. I know you're a big fan, but it's good to get the car. I must admit, I was glad we touched on it earlier on. Any other comments in the chat? I don't think there is anything that we really missed. Notable comment. We always talk about Ryan Stevenson scored for Albion Rovers at the weekend.
He did. Shocker. I forgot to mention it.
Shocker! Big Ryan get the goal and
friend of the podcast.
Must have been sunny or something. And down Albion Rovers way, because I don't know the place when it's not sunny, but fair play. I think going back to just the point about Albion breaking on, and I think I was shocked to see where Albion and Rovers were in the league, to be quite honest. I thought they were still kind of toiling at the bottom, but they seem to have
pulled themselves out of the mire. They've saved themselves, is what they've done. Fair play to them, because they had their bags up against the wall. Brecon of obviously, it looks like they're in trouble big time. They just didn't turn up for what I've read at the weekend. Annan, we've got Daz Christie there, so they should get a wee point or two on the board. I think it's basically Brecon or Annan at this point, and it's looking like it's going to be Brecon. Because even Cowdenbeath pulled it a win out of nowhere as well, so everyone else apart from Brecon's been doing it. I
was expecting Albion Rovers to still be at the bottom. I'm doing okay with Albion Rovers getting relegated, because I'm not really a big fan of them, but they're looking like they're basically a mid-table side alongside Stenny now. So shout out to Cam. I don't know if he's watching this week, but Stenny, the mid-table side, I know we're big fans. They were not so good last week against Kilmarnock.
Yeah.
But it's one of those. I think, Albion will be up for another season, but whether or not they'll maybe be back down there, who knows if they'll be. But I think the thing is, the thing to probably end on is there's teams below them that are coming. Watch our backs. I think that's the fair comment from those. But I think that's pretty much it from us this week. We'll just go around the table and get the usual plugs from the guys. Chris, where can we find you?
You can find me at Rampant FM on Twitter and on YouTube.
Mozza.
At Mozza Plays on Twitter, and you'll find me everywhere else through that.
And you get me at Mr. Ben Grant on Twitter, or you can get me at the League 3 Supporters Club membership. So Me and Steve will be
Ben and Stevie down the pub.
Thrashing out ideas. You want to come and have a chat about League 3 then? You know where I am. Just a final shout out to our sponsors, the Soccer Shop Direct. Check them out on Twitter at the Soccer Shop D, or check them on their website www.thesoccershopdirect.com for all your teamwear and football equipment needs. We'll be back in a fortnight time. If we'll get something big to talk about, I'm sure we'll be around, but if not, we'll look ahead maybe to the Euros and what's going on in League 2. Maybe Beacon will be relegated by that point and we'll be having a party. But until next week, folks, have a great weekend. We'll catch you all soon. Cheers.
Catch you later.